Hey, this is Megan, your host for Conversations for the Moving Self. Conversations for the Moving Self is for anyone who's passionate about movement and wants to take this for a long journey in their life. I know what it's like to be told that this isn't possible, but there is so much proof out there of all the different pathways that you can take, and one of them I'm sure aligns with you. And through these amazing practitioners and artists that I have met over the years, I'm here to share all of their knowledge and expertise of how we can work together to make this life a reality. So stay tuned, keep listening as we dive into these incredible stories of movement and well-being practitioners around the world, reminding us that this reality is possible. Welcome to Conversations for the Moving Self. Today I have Paula Nacif here, and I'm super excited to have Paula. Paula is a massage therapist, herbalist, and naturopath, and we've been connected through a dear friend named Summer Jupp. But I'm super excited to have Paula's perspective. Her warmth already has just filled up my day, and through her perspective, working in holistic health, physical, emotional, and day to day, like how you live your life, I really think that she is such a light already. Even on our call, I'm just excited to have her smile and excited to jump into the conversation. Really, she works through considering many different factors from hormonal shifts, stress, sleep issues, digestion, immunity, and so much more. So we'll jump right into the conversation. We're going to start, as we always do, with the opener question, which is how you are showing up for your own movement or well-being practice today.
Thank you for this beautiful introduction, Megan. I feel very blessed to be here, and the the warmth is felt here as well from you. So I have been listening to a few of your other podcast episodes, and so I knew that you were going to ask this question, and I was kind of like a little bit like shy about it because, like, to be honest, and I will be very vulnerable in my answer today, where like for the last year, especially, my movement practice has really stagnated compared to previous years, um, because I've opened up my own business. I have my own studio where I and clinic where I get to see my clients, and it's a beautiful thing. So grateful to be able to have this space, but it does mean that my energy is being like constantly poured out into maintaining this space, and my routine has shifted immensely. And I'm just starting to understand how to navigate all of that in a sustainable way. So the way that I showed up for movement today was I took it really slow this morning. My weekends sometimes can be pretty full on because as a massage therapist, it's sometimes my busiest time where people can actually have free time to come and get their body work done and get their herbs as well and all of these things. So usually my Mondays, I've been consciously now blocking off my early mornings so that I can wake up and feel the day and start to move slowly. So that's what I did today. I had a very slow start. I made my morning drink, which today was a Cleaver's tea. And I did I did 3 rounds of sun salutations, which have been my little promise to myself, where I try also not to be super rigid with my promises, but I have been saying to myself, okay, every day, just 3 rounds of sun salutations. And then if my body feels like it wants to move more, then I let myself move for longer. So yeah, I did that today. I gave myself some slowness. I did my 3 rounds of sun salutations, and then I took a long walk to the studio where I just did a big zigzag through the park and looked at the herbs that are growing right now because it's spring. Um, yeah, and that's been me recently. Actually trying to explore slowness and stability in my everyday. I
Mm,
also, when I arrived at the studio, I did a 20-minute meditation practice, and that's my other movement practice of the day, is just to find again another moment of slowness and quiet.
mm. There was so many things in there that I was like, yes, 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 yes. Like relating to so much of it, but also, yeah, wanting to jump on so much of it as well. Like, I think some things that really stood out to me as a listener in my own day, I was like, ah, slowness. But also this thing around like just being vulnerable and speaking around the how shifting into this chapter of your life, it's really beautiful, but then equally like there's different challenges that have come up. And I was actually just talking with a friend in my own life about like a similar shift that's going on of some things that are really great happening, but then equally mean other things are falling like off my plate. And
Mm,
the difference between intentionally bringing it back and like panicking and just then throwing other things off the plate. And I really like this idea around like small promises, but then equally softness around that. And yeah, like there was something when you also spoke around meditation once how you kind of had this bookmark between like the journey and then like being able to really give yourself the moment to transition into the space
yeah,
and arrive somewhere else. I think
yeah.
I relate to that need a lot, and I can see when I don't input it into my own practices. And so I was just reminded as you were speaking of the importance of that when it's like when you hear it out loud and you're like, oh yeah, okay, of course. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing, and it sounded like a lovely transition into your day. I hope it was, but it's
Yeah, I mean, I guess the vulnerability, it comes from like a couple of years ago, I was having like quite a vigorous daily movement practice of yoga asana where I would dedicate sometimes like an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours a day to real, intense movement. I was waking up very early to do that, and it felt right. And it was also very supportive to me at the time.
yeah.
And then the transition to not doing that anymore initially, it was so difficult for me to accept it because I just felt so guilty. And I felt like I was letting myself down. I felt like I was letting my teachers down. I felt like I was, I just felt like a big failure at first. And then eventually, after complaining about it a lot to lots of people, to myself, to my partner, to my friends, eventually I realized, like, with a lot of collective help, that it's like, oh, actually, I am doing a lot in my life right now, and I can find things that feel supportive to me and that are still taking care of me and my body. And that not everything needs to be like 100% and rigid at all times. So yeah, I've been making more space for like softness and slowly building up the strength and finding what that means for me now, like what that movement practice that is sustainable can look like step by step. Yeah.
Definitely this sentence of what it looks like now.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it's a good one. I wondered if you would be willing to share a little bit more around your journey into movement and well-being, like what that those spaces, what role they've played in your life over the years.
Ooh, that's such a big question.
I guess it doesn't
I
have
guess,
to be too conceptual. Also, it can be quite like
yeah.
where it existed for you.
Yeah, I will try to answer that question in like a practical way of how I got here. Um, so as you beautifully said, I'm a massage therapist and I'm a herbalist and naturopath. And massage was the gateway into my journey as a well-being practitioner. So that was the first modality that I qualified in. I've been practicing massage now for 5 years, which it feels so short and so long at the same time. Um, and I got into massage because I wanted a career change. I was working in the arts before, and I started to realize that the thing that I was very passionate about as an artist was the connection with people and with bringing people together and the
Mm,
power that art has to help people feel better and to bring some joy into their life and to build community as well. And then I realized like that I wanted to help people in a different way and in a way that felt literally more hands-on and practical. And so I did a big gear shift and pursued massage therapy. And I went into massage because I just always felt so connected to touch and to movement as well. When I was younger, I grew up going to ballet, and that so movement was always a big part of my life, but then also physiotherapy was a big part of my life because I had a lot of injuries as a dancer, and that was also eventually why I stopped dancing, was because I couldn't, at the time I didn't have the tools to figure out how to make it sustainable. And I'm sure that as a dancer for you, this is a big part of your life and of your community as well. I see a lot of dancers in my massage practice, and so we have a lot of these conversations of like how to take care of your body, in a way that is sustainable as an athlete and as someone that your body is your work.
yeah.
And yeah, so that was my connection with massage was because I guess it had a very important place in my life as well as a healing therapy.
Mm,
And then through the work in massage, I wanted to dig deeper. And so then I got into herbalism and naturopathy. And you also asked, I guess, about movement in my life and the importance of that. And when I became a massage therapist, I really saw the importance of supporting my physical body as well, because I am moving in a very specific way every single day and helping people. And massage is a very vigorous job as well. And so I started to realize that I really needed something that was um, some kind of daily practice to help my body to hold space for others, basically.
mm, mm. This is, I think I was on this edge of like
Mhm.
I'm not a massage therapist, but the awareness around even when I'm getting a massage, like that it's super vigorous for the person who's providing. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing. It's just nice to contextualize and interesting to hear. And yeah, I have so many like little questions, but I'm gonna try and stay in a little bit of a pathway. Uh, I'm super curious to dig a little bit more into what you were speaking about around the transition from being a working in the arts into working in well-being. And I loved what you were saying around the intersection, around community, around providing, yeah, space for community, space for service, space for joy, space for so many things. Uh, and I wondered specifically for this podcast space, like, what is something that now when you're working in well-being, that maybe even as a dancer you wish you would have had like in your ear a bit more when you were younger or when you were working in the arts, like that maybe felt hard to integrate or give yourself permission around within well-being that now as a well-being practitioner, like, please listen to this.
Um, Let me take that question in. Give me a
Yeah.
moment.
I think sometimes as a dancer and or an artist, it can feel like when I was younger, I know I definitely felt like well-being and dance had a relationship, but they weren't always working together. It felt a little bit like in order to take care of my well-being, I had to let go of things for dance.
Mm,
Now I live in a very different headspace that is like, no, they have to work together. But it took me a while to get there. And I wonder, as someone who was in a lot of those movement spaces and art spaces, but also now works in well-being, what's an idea around this that you've, how do you invite people into trusting the process of taking care of their well-being and that it's a supportive part of a part of the picture?
yeah, so one of my biggest um, messages that I love to spread to people is that well-being and taking care of yourself, it doesn't have to be restrictive. And it also doesn't require like 360 shifts if that's not what the person wants or
Mhm.
need. Sometimes we can get to the 360 shift, but it's a step-by-step process and it can be a gentle process. Uh,
Mhm.
Taking care of yourself and exploring well-being. I like to use the word well-being over wellness because I think there is so much wellness fatigue and
Mm.
there is so much there is then it creates some resistance inside of people to actually embrace things that could be really beneficial and actually can be very accessible. So that is my other thing as well is working with people where they're at and finding practices that are sustainable, that are accessible to them. And things can be so simple as to even just being like, hey, let's try breathing for 2 minutes of the day, you know? Um, because everybody's got 2 minutes, you know? That can be when you're like even sitting on the toilet. That's a start. Like, of course, as like a well-being practitioner, I might say we can find time elsewhere as well. But if that's like the starting point, that's fine with me. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so that is my really big message is like it doesn't have to be restrictive. It doesn't need to be like from one day to the next, totally different set of rules that you've never been used to before. It also doesn't mean buying things that are not going to serve you, that are out of your budget as well. Yeah, so accessibility and sustainability in the truest sense of the words is very important for me.
Mm. Yes, and them coexisting. Mm. This is a super random question, but
That's
as you were speaking,
okay.
it came up for
I
me.
love a tangent, I have to say. So
I was,
we can go for it.
yeah, I got a massage recently, and then my roommate overheard and was like, "Wait, I want one. Tell me where." And so I had given her the contact, and then she went, and she was like, "Man, it was incredible! Like we were raving about this massage, and yeah, it was really nice and super needed." But we were having a conversation afterwards around like post massage,
Hmm.
how she brought up to the question to me of like, should I like not work out today? Should I work out? Like what? And we were having this whole conversation. I was like, I'm not a massage therapist. I don't know. But then I was like, actually, yeah, I've always like tried to give myself a little bit of time after or like a little bit of I've always heard that like drink a lot of water, you might be tired, this kind of thing. But then like maybe it's because I'm a dancer that most days there's something involved. So that's a little bit non-negotiable schedule-wise. So I'm always trying to put it on a day off. But I've not ever really like given that much thought to it. And I wonder what you would recommend if it was like ideal scenario.
Yeah, I love this question. Everyone's different, and this is my approach to
Yeah,
body work, and that's my answer to your question as
of
well.
course.
I mean, I look at massage as a restorative practice and as a restorative moment. And
Mm,
so I mean, and different practitioners will have different opinions, but the thing that I tell my clients is you can live your life the way that you are. There's no restrictions and nothing is banned, but if you are going to um, move or dance or go to the gym or whatever it is, if you're going to go for a race, all those like marathon or those kinds of things, one is just go mindfully, because a massage is a
mm,
moment for you to tune into your body as well and to understand what's going on. Uh, I always, um, as a part of my body work practice, I also do a lot of guided breath work in my sessions and um, a lot of bodily awareness practice as well. So I guide awareness to certain parts of the body that we are working on as well. Um, and so I tell people like, if you are going to go to a dance class or to the studio or whatever, do so mindfully, try to pay attention to your body and use this practice as something um, to inform your movement and to grow your movement even
yeah,
in a more technical way as well. Like sometimes people come to me before they might have a performance, or they might
yeah.
come like it's like like pre-event treatments
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
definitely.
And so then we might tailor, I will tailor the treatment to that
Mm,
as well, because we also wouldn't want to, you know, if you're doing like a deep tissue massage, like you don't want to feel kind of like that post massage like achiness and soreness that happens sometimes, because you
yeah.
want to feel the, I guess, like the freedom of movement that you need.
Mm,
There's a practical level of it as well, of just like telling your
yeah,
practitioner
yeah,
of like, hey, this is what I'm doing later. But mostly I tell people like use this as
yeah.
um, something to inform your practice later.
Mm, I love that. It helps a little bit in my life. I think it aligns with my schedule. But like it also is it when you said it, I was like, it makes so much sense. Obviously, if you're like talking with if the client is talking with the practitioner beforehand, like I can imagine. Yeah, now it's like, oh yeah, of course your brain is going through, okay, how do I approach this as a practitioner? Whereas the client, I'm very much definitely showing up as the client of like, okay, I'm ready.
Well,
But
the other
it's
thing as
such a
well, the other point as well is like if you are able to come for a massage on a day off, that's perfect, because massage, like, I mean, ultimately, I say this to people all the time. The biggest benefit of massage is that it's time for you,
yeah,
and it's time where someone else is taking care of you. It's not even like, I think actually like muscle relaxation and reduction of injuries and all of those things are secondary. The number
yeah,
one thing is that it's time for yourself where you can switch off
yeah.
and someone else is, taking care of your body, helping you feel good. And then you have, an hour, 2 hours where you shut off and then you can continue your day.
Mhm.
So,
Mm,
for um, when people are asking me about like their routine around massage, I tell
yeah,
them like, if you can take a really slow day, like please do. We should
of
always do
course.
that.
Yeah. And that made me think about I saw this really random video recently of someone talking about like why certain people fall asleep really quickly in the car when someone else is driving.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was saying like this, it was just talking about like, this thing of like if it's someone that you trust, the body like goes, okay, I can chill now. And it felt like the same thing. And I think, yeah, like, oh, I'm super intrigued by uh, massage therapy and this side of things. Like, I think it's so interesting because it is so complex and it's not just like the 1 hour of the muscle care. It's so much more complex than this. And yeah, like every time after a good massage, I'm like, wow, if I could, this is incredible. But yeah, it's super interesting to hear kind of like the inside, the behind the scenes as a practitioner, how you would go about it or what your thoughts are around it. So thank you. As we continue, it kind of, yeah, brought me into this side of things around number one, a little bit of curiosity of like what your day-to-day looks like between massage versus naturopathy versus herbology.
Yeah, so my days are quite um action-packed.
I can
It really varies. I mean, I sometimes I will see one client that will come to me for a herbal medicine session and then a massage, which I think is like a fantastic day for someone to have. This kind of like, large block of let's take care of me today. So
imagine.
sometimes it's like that. So other times I will have more like one appointment after the other. Some of my days are more massage filled, and then some of my days are more herbalism filled. And it really just varies. It's kind of like I let the rhythms of life guide my agenda a little bit, and then I organize it closer to the time. But a I can give you like a recent day where I show up to the studio. The first thing that I do is I open up my front doors and I let air come in. I let the space breathe. I um, I cleanse the space with some herbs as well, just to reset the energy before I welcome people in here. Then I usually my mornings when I come here, I'm doing admin work like emails, catching up on this kind of stuff, like writing client protocols, doing research for client protocols, that kind of stuff. So a lot of books, a lot of scientific studies, very kind of, it looks a little bit like a mad lab in here sometimes. And then usually after that, I might be making prescriptions and herbal medicines. So in the back of my studio there, for people that are just listening, I am showing you guys my little mini apothecary in the back of my studio. Um, so I pull out my medicines, I start mixing tinctures, teas, powders, make the prescriptions for the week or the next few days, and then tidy up. And then usually afternoon and evening is when clients come because of like work schedules and things like that. There are some days where it's like it might be like a full day of making herbal medicine and processing herbs. And those days are maybe more quiet and more like internal. And a lot of music in here as well. Lots of dance breaks and wiggles in the room. The days that are more like client heavy, I always give myself like a good break in between clients so that I can stretch, so that I can hydrate, so I can eat snacks or meals or whatever I need to just replenish my body, and also just have like a little bit of time to think about my session, and then also reset the space. Yeah,
Mm,
I have a rule with myself where I don't see more than four people in one day. So
okay.
this is like it's my limit. because over the years of working, I've noticed that beyond that, it stretches me a little bit too thin. And I want to be 100% me when someone comes in here because with body work and with herbal medicine and the other therapies that I do, it's so much trust that people are putting onto me. They are coming here because they want help in feeling a little bit better. And so I want to be able to be present to that and to be able to witness them as they are today. So I always, when I am seeing clients, I I organize my schedule so that there is plenty of time around people so that nobody's in a rush. Because I'm in London as well. So, it's like people are always rushing because they've missed the bus or the tube stopped or there was something that happened on the way. And I always tell people, like when they come here, like, please don't stress out on your way here. So there's always a little bit of like wiggle room, for the appointment times, because if you're coming here for a massage or a herbal consultation to make you feel good, like we want to start at in a good point.
Definitely. This is exactly where I was gonna head next, is around like within that, you started to touch on it already, but where there's certain days where it's maybe more herbal medicine heavy versus days where it's more massage heavy versus like, yeah, just cl more client facing versus more admin behind the scenes, prep, etc. Like how that looks for you and this thing around finding your limit of like, okay, this is enough people, this is where I start to feel myself kind of not able to offer as much, or like I need to put that into place to make sure I'm able to offer my full self. But I had been living in London for a while and I had a massage therapist that I was seeing quite frequently there as well, who had a similar like, please let the like for yourself, let the on the way and the leaving be almost a part of it. And it reminds me of this thing that like in yoga spaces a lot of times around giving yourself that shavasana moment, like to allow yourself to
Mm,
close. And
mm,
then even as long as you can after the class, like let yourself take your time,
mm,
how impactful that can be in your day to day, both as a practitioner and the student or client or
mm.
yeah. And yeah, I think it really tapped into something around freelance life and being able to ride the wave a little bit, but then also like listen to to what you need in that week and put into like allow yourself to discover what you need for
Mm.
success in that space. Hey, it's Megan. Thanks so much for giving this episode a listen. I'm so excited for you to hear the rest of the conversation where Paula gets into more details of what it's like to separate work from home life as a freelancer, as well as the power of plants and herbology, and finally closing the conversation with the ongoing discovery around alignment and wholeness. So stick with us, and I can't wait to hear what you all think of the rest of the tips and insight Paula has to offer. And I wonder when you've finished one of those days, for example, what the ending looks like. How do you allow yourself to bring care to your own exit to the day and into your, because I think as a freelancer, sometimes it's easy to for the work to be everywhere in all hours of the day of all days of the week. And so for you, how you're approaching that at the minute.
Yeah, so at the minute I've been um well I'm doing uh both things where I try to integrate a moment to check in with myself at the beginning of my days and at the
Mhm.
end. So I've been in the last couple of weeks, because spring is springing in London, it's like starting to look really bright and beautiful, and the blossoms are coming out, and all of the herbs that people call weeds, but they are the medicinal herbs. They're also starting to come out. And so I've been making time in the mornings to, like I did today, just do a little bit of a longer walk on my way to the studio where I go in the little bit of like the back end of the park that's a little bit wild. And sometimes I do a little bit of foraging even and or just touch the plants and get to know and understand like what's coming up right now, what isn't coming up right now, and touch and feel nature. And sometimes I have a little sit down. And um, last year I started reading fiction again, which has been really like a breath of fresh air for my daily life as well. So I've been reading books that are like not related to my work. And um, this has been really exciting, and it's a nice escape as well to a different world. And so today in my walk, I did my little like unstructured zigzag and loop around the park. I sat down on the grass. I like got my face very close into the grass, and I was like looking at all the different things that were growing. I read a few pages of my book. I called my mom. I call my mom a lot, like almost every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And then, yeah, slowly made my way here. Those walks have been really important for me recently because especially when I first opened up my studio, I would sometimes literally like almost run here because I felt like I had millions of things to do. And I think in London, it's also so easy to be pushed into that urgent rhythm. And um, I, at the beginning of this year, I did I'm going to go on a slight tangent now, but
Okay, totally
forgive
welcome.
me, but I need to talk about this.
Please do.
At the beginning of this year, I did the Santiago pilgrimage with my mom. Um,
Okay.
so we did the Camino de Santiago from the north of Portugal to Santiago de Compostela. It was the second time we did it, and we walked for 7 days together. So it was a short one. It was 150 kilometers. I mean, some people that you meet there, they are walking for like 45 days, like, like 1,000 kilometers. So 150, it feels so tiny compared to these other people. But we did it in January, so it was middle of winter, low season. And after I came back, I was like, I need to take it slower. Like, I need to take things step by step. I need to stop rushing because I will get to where I need to get. Like, if I allow myself to take the steps that I need to take, like, it is actually pointless to rush. It's only going to make things more painful.
Mm,
And so I've been like repeating this in my head and integrating it in my daily life, um, by, yeah, just taking a longer route to work,
mm,
allowing myself to sit down, um, knowing, of course, like, if I have meetings and clients and stuff, but like giving myself that time to be able to be like, hey, I have flexibility today and it's okay. And then at the end of my days, if I'm finishing work a little bit later than usual, I I do like practical stuff, like I meal prep so that I know that I have like food ready at the house or with me here at the end of my workday, because
mm,
nourishment is so important. And then, there are other things like most days I end the day like going home, having dinner with my partner. We like do a little bit of like silly TV watching. like that stuff can be really good for the soul if you pick the right content, you know.
Definitely.
Um, we've been rewatching Parks and Recreation, and it is
Yeah.
like extremely healing for the soul. And yeah, same things in the evening, like unwinding, reading, a little bit of stretching, but just like quiet time. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. When you were talking about fiction books, I was literally having this conversation this weekend with a friend because I'd gone to visit a friend. They were reading some books that I want to read, but they're fiction books. And right now I'm in the middle of like two different nonfiction ones that are work related. I was just like, oh, I just need to like, I was having that conflict of like, how many books to start at once so that nothing falls off. But I think I need to pick up a fiction book because it's just a little bit of escape and like something a little bit lighter, which is the same world of like the silly TV. Like sometimes I think it's so important just to have that thing that doesn't matter. It just is funny. It's just
Yeah.
chill. It's just romantic. It's just whatever. But it's
Yeah.
like super valuable for something to not matter at all.
Yes, I mean, this is something that I talk to my clients about a lot because a lot of people, when they come to see me as a herbalist or a naturopath, they think that I'm going to remove a lot of joy from their lives. Like that I'm going to say, like, no more treats. You can't, like, the food has to be like raw and green and like no more television because television is evil. And I don't see life like that, and I'm not really someone that's into prohibition and extreme restrictions. I am a big fan of balance, and balance is going to look, a certain way for every person individually. um and yeah, I'm a big fan of like finding lightness through like a little silly fiction book and like a silly TV show that you can like unwind. And of course, like recognizing as well that we need to unwind on our own without the help of something else. Like we need to learn how to
Definitely.
regulate our emotions and all of that stuff. However, like it's so important to laugh and enjoy something that like and enjoy because that's art, it's like enjoy like art that someone else has made and put a lot of effort in, and that a lot of people have enjoyed as well. Like that's a moment of like community and like collective like consciousness and collective giggles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is collective giggles and like how even in something that's so not important, quote unquote, like it can become so important in a really nice way to channel your energy or to like decompress or laugh or you find like you're chatting with friends about it later or things like this and what that can offer is so powerful.
Mm,
And then just to tap back to when you were speaking around your walk with your mom, I wondered like I sounds super interesting and like probably a very very loaded experience with a lot of real things that came up. But I just wondered like what led you to you both doing that for the maybe the first time and the second time out of curiosity.
yeah, the first time we went, it was right after I finished my herbal medicine course. So I studied for, it was like 4.5 years of study for me, and a lot of work. And it was, after finishing, I guess I was on the precipice of this really big moment of change, of starting my practice as a herbalist and kind of taking that big leap. And my mom and I had talked about like casually doing this walk together for a really long time because there is a book by Paulo Coelho about it, who is a Brazilian author. And I'm from Brazil, my mom's from Brazil. And so, this book, I mean, it's a very big book in English as well. Lots of people have read it. And So it's something that we knew about, and also because um, we, my mom lives in Portugal. We moved there when I was 10 years old. So Santiago de Compostela is quite close to
Yeah,
Portugal.
yeah.
So the it's something that is sort of in the like collective awareness
Yeah.
of like that there are people that walk. There are some people that even walk from Lisbon. And
Okay.
so it's something that you are aware that people are doing this thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when I was close to finishing the herbal medicine diploma, uh, it was sort of like one day I was just on the phone to my mom and I was like, what if we did it this year? Because it's like, it sounds like it's kind of the right time, no? Because I'll be like transitioning to this new thing. I'll have time, you have time. And like, it kind of it seems like a nice way to like close this chapter and start a new chapter. And she was just like, okay. And then like, the moment we said that, okay, it just started moving really fast. And like, I was then, I was like looking at like backpacks and like things like, okay,
yeah.
like, I need a new backpack for this.
Yeah.
And I was like on blogs, like, what do people take? And like, what do they not take? And all of that stuff. And so then we did it. It was also like a thing that we wanted to do together, like as a bonding experience, I guess. And just a life experience thing, like
Yeah.
sort of bucket list thing. And the first time that we did it, it was an incredibly powerful experience, like throughout the whole time. Um, because doing this kind of thing where like you are walking for days and days and it's the same, you're doing the same thing essentially every day, where like you get up, you eat something, you walk for hours and hours and hours, you pause in the middle to eat and to pee and do these like necessity things, and then you get to the place that you're sleeping, you eat, you sleep, you start again. It's like it's the same repetitive task. And because of that repetition, it's like you get these like downloads of like life lessons that almost seem cliche, but they feel like they are so powerful in their simplicity. And um, that first time that I did this walk with my mom, we both had the same feeling of, at the end of it, we both felt, ooh, so much of my life, like so many things that I stopped myself from doing are self-limiting beliefs, like are
Mm,
things that I feel afraid of doing because I don't feel good enough. And then actually they are things that I could have done, but I was the one that was like, that
mm,
made a block. And I left that experience with a lot of energy to set up my own practice and then open up my own business. And I just kind of did it, blindly without like, because I was in that energy of like, hey, I can do anything, because like I've just walked and, in the
please.
middle of
Yeah.
the walk, like all sorts of stuff happens. Like the first time we did it, I had a really crazy allergic reaction one day to K-tape. Yeah, I taped up my knee and then I had a really bad rash in my whole leg. And it was, it's these moments that you think you're gonna die over a rash.
Yeah.
And then, days after the rash goes away like as if it's never there. And you think like, wow, the mind freaks out, right? About things that then go away and you forget they even happened.
Mm,
And so I left that initial experience just being like, oh, I can do anything that I set my mind to. And there's a lot of power in me that, things in life happen that suppress your power, like, whether that's trauma or relationships, all sorts of stuff, but then also like our own self-esteem and our own like self-limiting beliefs, that, again, can come from larger things too. And that's this second, more recent time, I learned a lot about patience and quiet. and giving myself time to, again, like I said previously, like to move step by step and to be more compassionate with myself. Yeah.
Mm, super like rich
Yes,
is the
it really was one of the richest
Mhm,
experiences, like in all ways. It's
mhm.
like these moments that you see like how generous life is in terms of experience, and also like that we live in this beautiful earth, because a lot of a lot of the parts of this walk, it's through forest, and especially this time in January, because it was low season, it was really quiet. And so there were stretches that we were just on our own, no one else. And you could just hear sometimes just absolute silence, and then little birds and wind. And, it's like you just feel so small in the most beautiful way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had a really cool moment this weekend where I was able to see live, like a volcano erupting.
I saw photos on your Instagram. Oh my
It's not
God.
where I'm living, but I went to visit a friend in Reunion, and it was this. I was just like, I still like, I keep thinking about it all day long, but it was just so prevalent to me. Number one, how beautiful the earth is, but like how powerful it is too.
Yeah.
And it's super cool where we were able to like I think it's been 20 years or something since the that volcano has erupted enough for it to reach the sea. But where we went to see it, like it was this intersection between the sea and the lava, and just there was a moment where the friend I was with was like, it it's like we're witnessing this like peaceful monster. In the like it's such a kind monster. And I was like, no, I know exactly what you mean, because it was like just so much n nuance and so much richness to that moment, and also to see the way that like humanity was experiencing it. Like I've there was so many, it was like we were at an amusement park, but in the most calm amusement park way. Everybody was excited, but like in a very weirdly quiet way where we could still hear it. And I was like, this is impressive to see the way that like that the earth can just have effects on us in moments like this and be reminded of it. And like I'm just like trying to hold on to that feeling for as long as I can, because it can be
Yeah,
so easy when
yeah,
you're in a city or just day-to-day life to lose that or get tied up in these mm, other thoughts and other pressures. And yeah, but I really know what you mean around the the beauty, the force, the
feeling small in this big world.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I really love these moments that you feel humbled by nature. And this is actually one of the things that that herbalism constantly draws me with this energy, where you can take, you can be, you take a herbal tea with this plant that is so much smaller than you, but it can alter your body completely. And it can
mm,
alter your mind. And it can, even I talk about this a lot, that even drinking chamomile tea, that is something that we disregard as like a, like a little, it is like a little herb that we can buy in the supermarket in a tea bag and whatever. But if you work intentionally with this herb, it can totally shift your experience, and it can transform
mm,
processes in your body, and it can give lessons are that continue to grow in a lifetime.
Mm,
This is one of the messages that I also have to give about herbalism is the
mm.
power of plants, um, to a power that really extends beyond us.
Yeah, yeah. Super interesting. And the what you're bringing up around the way that in day-to-day life now it can be easily disregarded
Yeah, I guess
because of
it's become so
yeah.
commodified in different
Yeah.
ways, right? And it's also has to do with our relationship with nature, which is so alienated. And there is it's I see it in many different ways. Like in one way, we have herbs that are sold, in little boxes, herbal teas like in a supermarket aisle in a grocery store, and we just pick it up because we're like, oh yeah, this is gonna like help me sleep, but it's not, it's whatever. And then on the other side of it, um, recently we have like the growth of wanting biohacks and like to optimize health, in a way that from my perspective, I often find it to be again quite alienating and unsustainable, but in a different form,
Hmm.
um, in a way that then it takes us away from the original purpose of healing naturally, let's say.
Mm. Yeah, wow. I'm so into this and I'm so ready to go research my own things afterwards around or research into herbology and yeah, wow. I'm aware of time. So I
Yeah,
want to
sure.
shift into the closing question just because yeah, I could talk for days about this. Uh,
Sure.
but yeah, the previous guest was asking what's one core value that you come back to in your everyday life, especially in the way that you care for yourself and others, and why is that important to you?
My core value and my mission as not just as a practitioner, as a massage therapist, as a herbalist, but as a person, as a friend, as a human on this earth is to help people feel whole again. Um, and even to find that for myself, to find wholeness. That is the name of my studio, is wholeness. Um, this is my it is like a core driver for me. It's my actually driver is the wrong word because I don't see it as it's not forceful. It is like
Mm,
it's an invitation for people to come in. And yeah, it's a compass, I guess, to help
mm,
people find wholeness, to find out what it means for them to feel whole, um, to explore that in their lives, because so much of so much of the world that we live in, it is constantly fragmenting us. It's constantly separating us from connecting with each other, from connecting with ourselves, from connecting with the earth, from connecting with life.
mm,
And so, as a practitioner, I I try to guide people to find this for themselves through body work and through herbs, um, through I do iridology readings as well, where we take a look at the eyes and it gives us clues about our health and our mind, to guide our health journey, but also life forwards. So through all of these modalities, I try to help people find practical ways that they can start to feel whole again. And then as a person, I see it as, on a day to day, how can I live life mindfully and connecting with myself and what is around me in the present moment?
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sh sharing all of that. I am so inspired by it. I'm so grateful to have like had the chance to chat, and yeah, it really filled my day. So thank you. And
Thank you, Megan. It was really
yeah.
lovely. I loved connecting.
We at Conversations for the Moving Self want to say one final big thank you. We know what it's like out there to try and pursue this movement career in a long term, sustainable way. When it gets hard, you know where we are. Stay tuned. Next Saturday, we have another amazing episode coming out with a new guest to share their experience of navigating this career firsthand. So, big thank you again, and see you next time on Conversations for the Moving Self.